how do we begin the journey? First of all, you see this religion that we term as Hinduism, let us look at its historicity. How old is it? How did it begin? What is its background? Let's talk about that. First of all, the Hindus will say this religion has no beginning, and that sounds a bit worrying. Surely everything must have a beginning. It can't be just without beginning. But you see, the Hindus are have thought these things out well. They say what we are actually exploring is not what people would term as religion, but we are exploring the nature of reality. What is this world that we live in? What is this all about? Who are we? What the heck are we doing here? We never asked to be born. We are here. We find ourselves here. We see this world. What is going on? It's to sort out the human condition, to suss out the human condition, understand what we are all about and what this world is all about and what are we doing here. And this is the enterprise we are exploring. And the most ancient Hindus, if you like, try to understand this idea by calling it Rita. The Sanskrit term Rita. Rita means how do things operate? That's all. They're not looking for a god or temples or gods and goddesses. They're saying, what is the way this world operates? The Rita. The most ancient term for what we call our religion is actually Rita. How do things unfold? What is going on around us? We want to understand the nature of reality. Now, if you ask anybody, whether he's a religious man or not, he says, we want to make sense of the world we live in. They say, I like that. There's nothing offensive to your common sense when you say you want to make sense of the world that we live in. And this is how the enterprise began. So it is not trying to find a supreme personality, hello chap, hello God, I'm in heaven. It is trying to make sense of the human condition and what we are all about. This is the enterprise, Rita. So you say, when did it begin? That's why the Hindus say there's no beginning, because it started, it has been there forever, if you like. Trying to understand the human condition. Since human beings started become, Homo sapiens, so I'm a thinking human, this thought appeared. What the heck is going on here? So it's as ancient as Homo sapiens, if I can put it that way. And the Homo sapiens, see, we always, when you want to understand religion, keep your feet firmly planted on the ground. Don't fly off the handle. So when they say, oh, we are million-year-old, look, Homo sapiens means the thinking human beings appeared on the face of this earth about 80,000 years ago, not much earlier. So you can't say we're a million-year-old. The thinking human appeared on this earth about 80,000 years ago. The Homo sapiens who now inhabit this world, the human beings. And this is a wonderful thing to explore. All the human beings that you find, Chinese or European or English or German or South American, they all started out of Africa. This is called theory out of Africa. So they all stood up on instead of walking on four, they stood up on two legs and started walking out. And this human migration came out of Africa about 50,000, 60,000 years ago, moved along the coast of Africa and went into Asia, and very likely India was the first one. And there a large population settled down because it's a very fertile land. This is the beginning of the human story. So the idea of Rita goes back to that period. But you might say, but Mr. Lakhani, surely there should be some way of trying to kind of find historic background to what we call Hinduism today in India as well. So how do we do that? With the most ancient archaeological evidence suggests to us, and this is, if you like, the Saraswati civilization as well as the Mohenjo-daro civilization, is when you do the digs, archaeological digs, you discover artifacts or articles or figurines or pottery which is about 5,000 years old. And here we see the rudimentary vision of somebody sitting in meditation, the symbol of swastika, visible about 5,000 years ago. So we can say the rudimentary idea were first codified into what we can call religion about 5,000 years ago. Don't try and drag it further. Maybe a few thousand years more, because this is the best archaeological evidence. Maybe we'll find something which is about 7,000, 8,000 years old. But don't stretch to 100,000 years. It doesn't work. So it's about 5, maybe 6,000, 7,000 years old story, where these ideas of making sense of the world was becoming codified. So the first word we must learn is Rita. What is the nature of reality? How do things operate? And then the word changed from the word Rita to the word Dharma. The first time what can be seen as a modern vision or version of Hinduism becomes visible with the term Dharma. And the word dharma is derived from the Sanskrit root dhara. Dhara means that which holds together. So we are saying, is there some underpinning to this reality that holds everything together, every human being, living things, non-living things? Is there something that's holding everything together? Dhara, holding everything together? Let's explore that. What is the unity behind the diversity we experience? You see, we experience a very diverse world. Underpinning all this, there are certain rules that seem to unify everything. To searching for unity in diversity is the enterprise of Dharma. What are the rules that operate underpinning this world that we see around us? Can we suss them out? Because then we can use them. Please remember this very important distinction. Dharma is not an invention, a human invention. Dharma says the laws that operate in the world that we live in is a discovery and not an invention. And learn this distinction even when you're studying sciences. For example, when you study pure sciences, like say physics, that's my specialty by the way, we are looking at the laws that operate underpinning this reality. When you study applied sciences, like technology and electronics and all the engineering, this is invention. Discoveries are the laws that underpin this reality, and how to use that particular law, those laws for the betterment of us, our humanity, is called invention. So it's invention. There's a distinction between discovery and invention. And by definition, dharma means a discovery. We didn't invent this, okay, let's sit down and work out some rules. We discovered the rules, oh, this is exciting. And then we use those rules to use it in various inventions. The same thing is done in science. Science discovers these marvelous things that underpinning reality, say electromagnetism and gravitation and nuclear power and quantum now. And they use all this knowledge to turn into this gizmo, you know, the little mobile phone, tick, 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 and all that. This is the invention. The discovery is quantum physics. But the invention is all these lovely gizmos you are using. Say, oh, we're so clever. This is this difference between discovery and invention. So dharma is not an invention, it's a discovery of the laws that underpin reality. But then how we turn them into applications, inventions can change over time and over different periods of time as well as in different cultures. So be it. Just like inventions in science. So you must make this distinction. First of all, you for the first time now you understand the deeper meaning to the word Hinduism. It is making sense of the world we live in. What is holding everything together? What are the rules and laws that dictate the world we live in? We want to understand them first, suss them out, and then use them for our betterment. This is Dharma. Then we add an adjective in front of the word Dharma. You must have heard the word Dharma again and again when you go to temples. Oh, this is called Dharma, not Hinduism. Dharma, our religion is called Dharma. Okay, good enough. So where did the word Hinduism arise from? How did it come into being? That's a bit of a funny story. You see, in ancient times, in northwest part of ancient India, flowed this huge river. And the river, the Hindus called river Sindhu. Sindhu in Sanskrit literally means vast amount of water, or a river, big river. So they're going the river, Sindhu. Marvelous. This is very clear cut, simple. So the river is called Sindhu. But then there are different stories. I don't know which one is right. Somehow that particular name was mispronounced. And the Hindus put the finger of blame on the poor Persians. They said the Persians who came to visit India in the ancient times had difficulty in pronouncing the sa sound. They had habit of replacing the sa with the ha pronunciation. So when they came to the river, they said, what is this? Sindhu. They said, oh no, Hindu. He said, no, Sindhu. No, there's Hindu. And being what we are, very compliant, very gentle people, he said, okay, Hindu. That's how he got stuck. And the river was called Hindu, and the people living across the Indus or the Sindhu were called Hindus. And the story didn't stop with the Persians. You see, we are a very famous favorite destination for a lot of overseas people to come and visit us. At the moment, of course, Disney World now. In ancient times, it was India. And even now, I think India is becoming very popular for visitors. So then to other visitors, because India was very prosperous and people wanted to come. And the next set of people who came were the Greeks. You heard the name Alexander. Now, when the Greeks arrived, they had problem with the h sound. They changed it to the a sound. They like the word everything in Greek. So the Sindhu, which has become Hindu, became Indus. The river Sindhu became Hindu for some certain period, and then it turned into river Indus. end is still called the river Indus and flows in the northwest part of that part of the world. Now, not only did the word Indus derive from the word Sindhu, is name of a river, the word India also came about by this mispronunciation, because they say the people living across the river Indus, we call the people of Indoi. And from the term Indoi, we derive the word India. It's an interesting story. You see, when you understand your background, the name you gave to your religion, the name you gave to your country, etc., you understand the background, then you get a better grip of it. So the word Hindu is really nothing to do with what we are talking about, Dharma, but it's got like a pet name we acquire. Now, you're all at Eton College, and I'm sure you all have pet names that you don't want to discuss with me on camera, but you already acquire a pet name. My name is J. Lakhani, J. Prakash Lakhani, so long. People in my home, my family call me Dilip, so some people get confused. So I acquired two names. In the same way, the name that we are given to our religion in the true terms is Dharma. But then it became, if you like, we acquired this pet name called Hindu or Hinduism. So it's purely a pet name. We must make the distinction. Now with the word Dharma, we also added an adjective. We say Dharma means we are sussing out the laws that operate in the world. But we are not looking for those laws which are temporary, just a fad or a fashion, or only suitable for some part of India, not other parts of India or other part of the world. So we are looking for those laws that operate in this world which are not just temporary phenomena, not restricted to one part of the world, but the laws which are both universal and eternal, means we will stay all the time the same. And the word we have in Sanskrit for that which is universal and eternal is Sanatan. It continues. So we are looking for laws which are not just temporary fad. But you may see the science is exactly the same. When science discovers any laws, it doesn't say, oh, it only operates in Scotland and not in England because we are going to be separate. It operates everywhere. In the same way, the laws that we discover, which we call Dharma, are not restricted to the Indian subcontinent. They have to be universal. And the second imposition is they must be eternal. They can't just be true today and tomorrow will change, because like a fashionable statement of fashion. Fashions have changed, so we call it different. So the laws that we are talking about have to be eternal and universal. That is how we acquire the word Sanatan. Now you see, I've given you in a very short span of time, I've clarified a lot of things. So when the Hindus say we are eternal religion, what they mean is the laws are eternal. This religion that we are talking about has a beginning and end because they appeared perhaps a few thousand years back. But the laws we are talking about, the principles we are talking about are eternal. Otherwise we won't bother with them. They're not a fashion or a fad, temporary fad. They're eternal. That is why I want to focus on them. Now you see, so far what I have said to you can appeal to any thinking human being. If you are not thinking, nothing can appeal to you anyway. If you are a thinking human being, then what I have said so far cannot offend your common sense. The presentation I'm going to make about Hinduism to this class here at Eton College will always be as rational as possible. I may fly off the handle once in a while, but most of the time I'll keep my feet firmly planted on the ground and talk things which are sensible, reasonable, rational. The Sanskrit term is buddhigamya. They must appeal to your common sense, your intellect. Otherwise you must not accept it. And this is the imposition I am putting on you, youngsters. If anything I say does not agree with your common sense, you are allowed to spit it out. You don't have to swallow it. This is the imposition I am making on you. Not forcing, I'm not preaching. I'm talking about eternal philosophy, laws, rules that are kind of universal, acceptable, and in agreement with your common sense. If they don't agree with your common sense, you must not accept it. This is the imposition of Dharma. It's not looking for some kind of, it's not trying to preach something to you or brainwash you. It's asking you to think for yourself. And things that don't appeal, reject, happily reject. It doesn't offend me, it doesn't offend the word Dharma. You say, yeah, you must reject. It has failed the test. So this is the background to the word Dharma and the word Sanatan Dharma. Is how the most things work. What a lovely way of exploring the world that we live in. That's all. This is the foundation of what we call Hinduism. And I can assure you, you present this particular approach to any atheist and agnostic, there is nothing there's nothing we have said which would offend him at all. They would flow with it.